He was asked to not certify it.
Sure.
So would you have certified? I'll ask you for the third
Again,
time.
I would have asked the states to submit alternative slates of electors and let the country have the debate about what actually matters and what kind of an election that we had.
You
in
wouldn't
these
have
important
certified,
states.
to be clear.
I would have asked the states to submit alternative slates of
I think
electors. That's what I would have done. Again, I've said that publicly many times.
And that right there is precisely why Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance as his running mate. Not because he's qualified or charismatic. Anyone with eyes and a pulse can see that that ship has long since sailed. But because he has broadcast that he's willing to do what Mike Pence wouldn't, to undermine a legitimate election to ensure that Donald Trump stays in power indefinitely. I don't know how to say this any more clearly. Everything that Trump and Republicans do is to subvert democracy in favor of consolidating power for themselves. Let's not miss the forest for the trees here. What J.D. Vance is advocating for is literally a crime. Donald Trump was indicted for blocking the certification of the election using alternate slates of electors. Alternate slates of electors are not a real or legitimate thing. They are a criminal scheme. The alternate slates of electors have been indicted in Michigan, in Nevada, in Arizona, in Georgia, and faced a civil suit in Wisconsin. And of course Vance is advocating for it because he doesn't care what happens to the people who do his and Trump's bidding so long as they derive a benefit from it. These people can rot in prison for the rest of their lives, but if the politicians gain power, then it was all worth it. Am I right? Also, you'll notice that Vance says that we should commit the crime of sending alternate slates of electors, and then the country should have a debate. I'm sorry, what? Have a debate? The debate is the votes. That's the debate. They come in, we count them, the winner wins and the loser loses. What Vance doesn't seem to be able to get through his skull is that there is no contingency plan for sore losers. You don't get to throw a temper tantrum and demand further litigation of the issue because you can't accept the fact that you lost. The extent to which these people detest democracy cannot be overstated. So why would Vance say this stuff out loud? Because they're not trying to hide it. The GOP has long since given up on pretending that it has any policy positions. Here's what today's Republican Party is about: scaring its overwhelmingly white older base into thinking that black and brown people are coming to get them so that those people will vote for Republicans, and then Republicans use that power to help themselves, to collect money from oil and gas companies who fund their campaigns while screwing over consumers, to collect money from food retailers who fund their campaigns while screwing over consumers under the guise of inflation. Starting to see a trend here? That's why every single election cycle, starting in about September, October, it is migrant caravans and immigrant gangs and, oh right, Haitians in Ohio eating your pet dogs and cats and ducks. It's the exact same playbook every single cycle. I could literally do a 500-hour montage, but here's just a tiny sampling from the course of just a couple of days.
At least 5,000 migrants are on the move in southern Mexico, making their way north in hopes of reaching the U.S. southern border. Members of the caravan say they left due to trouble getting humanitarian visas. This comes after a record-setting 260,000 migrants crossed the southern border in September alone. Look at that footage there. Wow.
Here's the head of a caravan raving about how great a travel agent Joe Biden is. And word's gotten out. You can see caravans marching for miles and miles. I'm sorry. The Biden travel agency has raised expectations.
But first, right now, 5,000 migrants are heading towards the U.S., and the caravan leader is blaming President Biden, all while encounters hit a record high.
Up next, a gigantic migrant caravan barreling towards the U.S., and its leader is calling out President Biden for failing to address it.
So right now, the largest migrant caravan in over a year is marching right towards the United States. It is said to be up to 7,000 people strong. One of the organizers of the caravan is speaking out, and he says President Biden should have seen it coming. Let's check out what you have to say about immigration and a caravan.
You're saying we don't see the whole Western Hemisphere coming up in caravans through Central America into Mexico, right into Texas?
Right now, the largest migrant caravan in a year is heading for the United States as mayors across the country head to Washington today to meet with lawmakers.
It comes as a 7,000 person caravan. Look at that, in Mexico, making its way up to our southern border.
Did President Biden talk tough to these leaders and tell them they better do their fair share to stop the relentless caravans from overwhelming our border? Not a chance.
And sometimes Republicans even say the quiet part out loud.
I don't know what the participants in this caravan. I'm sure some of them are seeking asylum. I'm sure others are trying to make a political statement. I'm sure others are trying to make a point about what they say are restrictive or unfair policies of the United States. But man, it will work in the opposite direction that they want, because what is going to take place is you have video every day of a scary looking thing. Here is a mob of humanity driving towards the U.S. southern border. When you have swing voters, let's say you're Pete Sessions in Texas, who's in a difficult position in his suburban Dallas district. For his voters that maybe aren't huge on the president, maybe they have some concerns, they see this and they go, uh-oh. Oh no, and this will help Republicans in those tippy, Republican-leaning but swing districts.
They are so committed to manipulating people that they're literally talking about it out loud for everyone to hear. That is how committed to the bit they are. In fact, I wrote about this exact phenomenon in my book, Shameless. Take migrant caravans, which are to American elections as red Starbucks cups are to Christmas. According to Philip Bump of the Washington Post, in 2018, over the final 2 weeks of the midterm elections, according to closed captioning data compiled by the Internet Archive, Fox News and Fox Business Channel each mentioned the word caravan an average of almost 8 times an hour. On Monday, the day before Election Day, both CNN and Fox News mentioned the caravan more than 80 times. On Tuesday, more than 40. After the election, mentions plummeted until they became virtually non-existent, which is to say, Republicans deliberately use race to turn out their voters and have done so explicitly for decades. The party, then, is not only physically homogenous, but runs on a platform specifically predicated on protecting that homogeneity. By the way, if you'd like to read my book Shameless, I'll put the order link right here on the screen and in the post description of this video. And of course, Vance's comments are being about as well received as you would imagine. Liz Cheney wrote, "Let's be clear, this is illegal and unconstitutional. The American people had voted, the courts had ruled, the Electoral College had met and voted, the governor in every state had certified the results and sent a legal slate of electors to the Congress to be counted. The vice president has no constitutional authority to tell states to submit alternate slates of electors because his candidate lost. That is tyranny. Our institutions held on January 6th because Mike Pence refused to violate his oath to the Constitution. Trump picked J.D. Vance because Vance will do whatever Trump wants, including violating the Constitution. They are both far too dangerous to serve. It is our duty to stop them." John Ralston of the Nevada Independent wrote, "Ask the country to have a debate? My God. Forget the violation of your oath to the Constitution. Imagine being this depraved, this servile, this pathetic. This is why Trump needs to be asked about 2020 tonight and in every interview." Norm Eisen wrote, "Vance is saying that he would have willingly entered a criminal conspiracy. If he would have done it then, he'll do it if he takes power. Believe him." And yet, this is what today's Republican Party has become. They have given up on the very concept of democracy. They know they can't win on their ideas, on their platform, on their beliefs, and so their last resort is to usurp power through extrajudicial means. Far from hiding it, they are fully embracing it for the entire world to see. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.